I'm still recovering. You might hear like a different timbre in my voice. It's because I was at like a comedy debate show last night where we were debating who's the best blind badass, Daredevil or Toph.
Oh wait, I know some people that were going to that.
Toph. Well, Toph won.
Yeah.
But Daredevil's the right answer.
So I was about to say,
yeah.
like Daredevil.
Get out. You don't get an episode today.
Wow.
You can read his reviews.
Listen, I'm not saying that Toph isn't a badass, because she is. Toph is awesome. We didn't even try to argue that.
Yeah.
The difference is that Daredevil is a bigger badass, and the reason why is because Daredevil has no powers. He's just got training. He's also a ninja.
No, he technically has like the...
His superpower is that he's not really blind.
Yeah.
That's it. He's also a ninja, and for some reason he's an A-lister. When Black Widow needs to hide, she goes and hangs out with Matt. When Elektra needs to hide, she goes and hangs out with Matt. When you need to like do anything, you go and you end up calling Daredevil.
But see, if Daredevil was standing on the ground, Toph could be like 100 feet away and be like, whoop, and
Toph wouldn't be able to sense him. Dude's a ninja. He regularly breaks into everything.
He can feel vibrations in the ground.
He's broken past vibration sensors before.
She invented metal bending. Yep. Also, she refused to take part in the last battle because she knew she could have just won the whole thing. But she knew that the other people
after
had to
leaving
do it.
her daughter to like get her bending taken away and just
sorry,
kind of
someone hasn't watched it yet.
It's okay. We'll
I
move
said
on.
was Toph didn't join.
But Toph won, and it was a really good debate, and that will be up on their website at some point, and we'll probably do something with them.
Daredevil's got a cool costume too.
I'm gonna say
Toph's costume is pretty awesome.
Toph is awesome.
Toph is awesome.
Let's be clear on that right now. And by the way, if you haven't seen the Toph versus Gara death battle, go watch
bullshit!
that because it's great.
No, it's not. It's bullshit.
Whoa.
Gara should have won. Toph's great. Gara should have won.
Wow.
Gara didn't fight like Gara. Gara didn't fight like Gara. Toph didn't fight like Toph. It's bullshit. I have a lot of anger over this.
Okay.
Where's Gara?
Oh my God.
It's gonna be okay.
Oh, I don't watch that. I only read it.
But Toph can
The
stand
air.
too.
I can't. I'm so mad.
Oh my goodness.
You picked him up.
Wow.
He's gonna go and sulk in a corner.
He's gonna go find stuff to spend money on.
Wow.
I need a minute.
It's red face. I need to take a picture of him right now.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
It's also really hot over there.
It is.
pretty hot.
I know, I'm just too hot to sit
Hey,
beside.
Nathan,
Nathan, look at me.
Nope.
Look at me.
Never.
Look
Hey,
at
Toph
her.
beat Gara.
He's putting on his sunglasses.
Bullshit.
Puppy.
Here, boy.
Wow. Got to
Every
be
time
nightmare.
in the comments.
20 minutes, guys.
This is amazing. Okay, so
to do.
we have what to do?
I have sewing to
We
do.
both have
Okay.
something to do.
Yeah, I have
That
a
comic
lot
was
ready.
alright.
So, I'm going to start with all new Hawkeye. It's interesting. It's not quite as good as the Matt Fraction run, which is to be expected because Matt Fraction, you're just not going to be able to follow him up. But this one has an actual plot going on, as opposed to other Hawkeye, which just kind of meandered about, which was kind of the point of the comic. So this one has Clint still being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, kind of, and Kate Bishop not being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, but really enjoying not being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and being better than Hawkeye. Just from the opening thing.
Right.
Clint Bishop, a.k.a.
Because they're both Hawkeye, right?
Yeah.
So they just hang out all the time and sort of like snark at each other, even while they're on assignment or on mission or whatever, and it's fantastic. So really, really good art, really good story. They've got two stories running parallel to each other, so the stuff at the bottom is Clint's childhood, and it's told in a completely different art style that actually really works. So it's a very, very interesting read. Again, it's not quite as good as previous Hawkeye, but that's not a knock against this comic, because previous Hawkeye was outstanding. It also still touches on a lot of the stuff that came out of that, so Clint still has his hearing aid, because he got exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would do it.
Jenna had the Red Sonja, one of the other covers.
Jenny Prison cover, which is really funny because on Twitter,
Yeah.
it got cropped, so it was just that. That
That's-
was
wow.
the thumbnail. It's just like, hey, check out the new Red Sonja.
Wow.
Just like, okay.
Wow.
And
It's
vagina armor.
TNC.
it's really
What
not.
was the C word?
Wow.
I said crotch.
So
TNV. Oh.
It's
Crotch.
really not.
I
so
need to join us.
Calm down.
He doesn't want to sit
Welcome
next
back.
to me or Jenna.
So what's happened in this is that Sonja has been A, poisoned, and B, cursed. And the curse keeps her
Wow.
from forgiving anybody. And that doesn't really sound like such a bad thing until you really think about it, because Sonja is all by herself an extinction-level event wherever she happens to go. And if she can't forgive anybody or have any sort
would
of
she want to save
forgiveness, she can't. She just butchers people. And she realizes it, so she burns her hands to keep from being able to use a sword.
That was a couple issues ago.
That was a couple issues ago, yeah. So this is the logical conclusion to everything that Gail Simone has been writing since issue 1. Everything that has been built up until this moment comes back and has meaning, and it gives the comic a very, very deep sense of resonance, which is always something that I'm really going to enjoy. I like comics, and I like story.
Yeah.
Deadly Class, which we already kind of touched on. Hello. I love this comic. I love this comic a lot. It's about a school for assassins. So a bunch of kids are basically sent to like a high school where they're taught how to murder people by ancient wizened whatever. But they're still kids, so they're really, really good at the murder, but they're still kids. So they're dealing with their own hormones, and they think that they're much more clever than they actually are.
Except for maybe the
And
protagonist.
they get tied into a lot of stuff that they're really not prepared to deal with, and it comes back to haunt them in this comic. It's also got incredible artwork, which you already talked about, and it's honestly, if you ever like question Rick Remender's ability as a writer, you need to read this, because it's honestly
This is
phenomenal.
his
This is his best
work.
work. It's incredible stuff. It's okay, you can continue flipping through Captain Canuck. It's fine. Oh, she's great.
12 minutes. Go.
So Captain
Also,
Canuck,
if you're on
as I was
timer.
saying, really, really good art. Interesting characters going on. It's sort of tied together. It's just really interesting. So I'm really, really pleased with it. And it's got Canadian zombies, which also just makes me really happy. In the
Timer.
Reva has literally set up a timer for me.
Just so
Not
you have
wasting
an
his own
idea.
time.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So you know.
I appreciate it.
You
Thank
have so
You're
much
very
time
kind.
allotted to each comic now.
I've got like 4 minutes allotted to the 4 that remain. Black
4
Widow,
minutes.
the Nathan Edmondson run with the Phil Noto art, because look at that art.
Beautiful.
It's just,
Ugh.
yeah,
gorgeous.
Ooh,
just
creepy but
absolutely gorgeous. This is the Black Widow movie that we deserve. This is this is literally the blueprint for what the Black Widow movie should be.
But the one we will never get.
Ever.
good. They're never
get.
gonna make a Black Widow.
It's so well done. It's just Black Widow being Black Widow. She's sent off on missions that nobody else can handle. And she's been trying to investigate a group calling itself Chaos. And Chaos was not on anybody's radar. It wasn't even a thing that anybody really understood. And she finally managed to get to the head of Chaos. And we found out that Chaos is literally trying to save the world and make it a better place and establish a utopian society, and realizes that there's just a lot of things that need to be removed in order for that to happen. And tries to recruit Nat. It's just like, no, if this is going to work, then I need somebody like you. And honestly, aren't you tired? And it approaches the idea that, going back to the PTSD thing, that Black Widow she can't ever stop. She can't stop being who she is because she doesn't know how to be anything else. And she manages to, say no and save the day and all the rest of it, but this entire issue is the aftermath of being confronted with the possibility that she doesn't have to be Black Widow anymore. Or
Yeah.
what life would be like
I feel like
afterwards.
she's gonna have gray streaks in her hair and still be doing what she's doing.
Yeah, no, she can't. She's got the
Yeah, I was
same
gonna say,
super soldier
it's-
serum
I-
as
Oh.
I was also going to say, it's superheroes in general. She's never going to have gray hair, ever, because they're never going to let her age that far.
Yeah.
This is
They'll
just not
reboot.
sexy enough.
The other
Like,
thing
oh,
is that
getting
she's
into a reboot.
she's kind of one of the surviving Romanovs, but it's sort of an iffy thing. Anyways, comic is really, really good. They could really go anywhere from it, and it also ties into a lot of the other stuff that Edmondson writes via his Punisher story, which his Punisher stuff was just as good, and honestly, they had a lot of crossover between the two of them, so they're worth picking up together and reading together. It's kind of has the same sort of vibe as Buffy and Angel did back in the day, only with, Black Widow and the Punisher. Really good art, really good characterization, just very deceptively simple stories, because it's the sort of thing that you can take a look at and be like, okay, well, I'm appreciating it on the surface level, but then you can look deeper and see the character growth. Because Nat comes across as a very, very static character. She doesn't really look like she changes, but there's a subtle degree of difference from the character we get at the end of this comic from what we had at the beginning. And it's worth looking into, honestly, just for that, but the artwork is gorgeous. And it's one of the prettiest comics that Marvel's publishing, so take a look.
30 seconds to spare. Good job, Aaron.
Yes! Sandman Overture number 5, which, I think I started God of Comics just before number 1 came out 3 years ago, so...
That was 3 years ago?
Yeah, there's been a bit of a delay.
Oh, it was like
Yeah.
2. No, like 2.
It's...
I've only been reading comics for 3. Did not come out in the first year I started reading comics.
It clearly did. So...
What happened at the time?
It
yeah,
came out a while
it's
ago.
it's gorgeous. It's exactly what you'd expect from this particular... Like, J.H. Williams 3 is one of the best artists working in comics. Neil Gaiman is one of the best writers working in anything. Yes, it's the third movie. The third J.H. Williams. There were 2 before him.
J.H. Williams the third.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Be over here. Son of J.H. Williams. J.H. Williams 3. In... This comic has been about how Dream got captured leading into the actual Sandman comic. So it's kind of a prequel. But it's dealing with the idea of stars that have gone insane. And because the stars are going insane, they're radiating the worlds that are around them and causing like massive amounts of war. Dream has sort of splintered himself off and then reintegrated himself into one entity, except for one particular aspect of Dream that decided to remain, and that's a cat. Yeah, and the cat's been going around trying to save people while Dream was trapped in a black
my God,
hole.
The cat is so cute.
Oh, the cat's amazing.
I was like, I'll just wait another 3 years for the graphic novel.
No. Well,
Trade.
yeah. Possibly.
First issue.
It's gorgeous. It's beautifully done. We get the idea of where the Endless came from. So it's a huge amount of myth building with this mind-bending concept of the souls of stars going mad. Just really, really cool stuff all around. And just the power of Dream, the power of hope, and what that means, and how hope really can't be trapped, and how there are forces at play that are so much larger than anything that we're really familiar with, and what that scope can actually look like. It's awesome. So, if you like myth building, which I really do, read this comic, because it's fantastic. I have 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Jim
what-
did.
What do
Good
you got
going.
there? What do you got there?
It's a Valiant comic. I know nobody saw that one coming. I'm going to talk about both of the Valiant comics that came out today. So first off, Divinity. Divinity is about a Soviet astronaut that was sent off on a super secret mission to the edge of the universe and became God.
Okay.
The other 2 astronauts that went with him died. He's just
Sucks
come
to
back.
do that.
Yeah, really. But he's
He's
become
God.
enlightened.
Can't he bring them back?
He kind of does. He comes back because he had a secret wife and child. And they're both dead, but he resurrects them.
Wait,
Is
are we
it
talking
Pet
about-
Cemetery
Are we
style?
talking about
No.
Okay.
No.
I hate Pet
Not at all.
Sematary. Still
Pet Sematary is
horrified.
awesome.
I had
Um,
nightmares for 3 years. Vivid
Don't watch
nightmares.
Suspiria. So
I was like 6 or whatever.
this... I saw The Exorcist when I was 7. It was great. Just got me interested in demonology. So this comic is about a guy who becomes God and then tries to come back and fix everything, and of course he's not allowed to because it's Valiant, and they really sort of look at the consequences of different actions. But what does end up happening is people do recognize that something divine has come to their world, so a religion crops up based around him. And they do manage to catch him with a really, really interesting way, because they can't overpower him. They know they can't overpower him. They send off like their Avengers analog team, and they just get smoked. Like horribly, horribly smoked. So the only way that you can defeat this guy is through his psychology. So they use his psychology against him, manage to trap him and take him away, but this religion has now cropped up around him, and we'll see how that develops. Valiant is awesome for stuff like this. It's one of the reasons that...
Don't say.
Yeah, I know. I really like them. Also, Ivar Time Walker, number 5 came out today, which I couldn't find on the shelf, because possibly they were all sold out, which is fair, because it's an awesome comic. Where Ivar is teaming up with his 2 other immortal brothers to stop the ultimate supervillain of all time, the woman who invents time travel, who has been kidnapped by herself, who is that villain from the future.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around
It's mind-bending and just plays with every time travel trope you've ever imagined and explains all of them. The beginning of this comic actually has like an army of pissed off people that go to try and stop supervillain and end up getting hit with rapid aging. There's like a time compression thing, so they end up aging to the point where they all die. And then over the course of the comic, we find out how that army came to be, and they take off, and you don't realize it's that army until the end of the comic. And I'm not spoiling anything else. Like, honestly, that's a subplot to this. It's that kind of comic. It's hilarious and weird and exactly what you'd expect from that particular line of Valiant books. I know. I've got like 3 minutes. I've got less than 3 minutes, but I've got one comic left, and it's one of the Convergence comics. So Convergence was terrible, like really, really awful, and accomplished nothing. Some of the side comics were amazing.
Yeah, I looked in the previews. You lied. You brought it all back.
Yeah. So.
But Bombshells, woo!
So.
Yeah, I was gonna pull that over.
There's male Bombshell covers. So excited. Sinestro looks amazing.
Sinestro
run over and grab it. Like
Oh.
Bombshells.
He's one of my favorite characters in Injustice.
I also.
So we're taking over his last 2 minutes.
It's
Oh my
okay.
god.
I take over everybody else's too. This is only fair.
It's true.
So one of the interesting things that they've done in all of the little side comics is they've had heroes acting like heroes, which is something that Marvel and DC have both failed to do for years. So it's really interesting to see it when it does happen. Blue Beetle, it's Blue Beetle, The Question, and Captain Atom, like the original versions, taking on the Legion of Superheroes, which is to say that they are so far out of their weight class, it's ridiculous. So Brainiac 5 versus The Question. The Question actually manages to stump him with a riddle. Like, just hits him with a paradox and then, like, takes off. And interestingly enough, because both sides are heroes, they come up with a way to trick the bad guy and save everybody. And it's one of those things that's really, really interesting and really well done, and something that's happened in a couple of the Convergence one-shots, particularly The Question, Batgirl, Catwoman, and...
Batgirl looked terrible art.
Batgirl had terrible art, and didn't really seem to get them to understand the point of Stephanie Brown.
I read the first
but did have
one,
Black
I was
Bat.
like, I don't understand.
That says Lobdell.
Yeah. This one has really good art, and the writing is really, really good.
No,
But
I'm out. I'm out.
Surprised.
Look at Scott Lavello or whatever.
Okay, so apparently we have to wrap up because we have 40 seconds to do it.
Oh my
so
God.
come to Big Pete's Comics because Big Pete is amazing.
And come see us at Northwest Fan Fest.
Yeah, go see them at Northwest Fan Fest.
We're going to smuggle you in a suitcase. It's going to be great. We're going to put him in a broom closet.
Or we're just
It's going to be a scavenger hunt. If you can find him, you can take him home.
Ooh. No, we have applications.
You have to
If
fill out
you want to
adoption
date
papers
Nathan,
first.
you can apply.
You need to apply with a dating resume.
Yeah.
We need references.
I'm gonna take my comics and go home.
I think these episodes are how much can we embarrass Nathan?
Yeah.
Oh, he's left us.
That's the wrong
Where
one.
are you going? That's not.
Shh, I'm just leaving dramatically. I look the previews.
He's sulking in a corner. It's going to be okay.
Same corner.
It's going to be okay. Thank you for watching. Link, comment, and subscribe.